Welcome to this instructional video, where we'll guide you through the step-by-step process of replacing a fuel injector on a 2009 Nissan ALTIMA. Fuel injectors are situated within the engine's intake manifold, just before the inlet valve. These components are crucial in delivering the right amount of fuel at precisely the right time. Let's begin the removal process. Before you start, ensure your vehicle has cooled down. Also, wear rubber gloves to protect your hands from any irritation caused by contact with fuel. Start using a torque wrench or a screwdriver to remove the engine compartment cover. Proceed by carefully removing the fuel pump fuse from the intelligent power distribution module in the engine room. Start the engine and let it stall. Crank the engine a couple of times to release all remaining fuel pressure. Finally, turn off the ignition switch to fully release the fuel pressure. Then, remove the front air duct. Gently disconnect the fuel hose quick connector from the fuel tube. If necessary, use pliers or a screwdriver to release any clamps. Utilize a torque wrench to remove the bolts securing the intake manifold from the engine. On the engine's front side, use a wrench or socket set to disconnect the sub-harness for the injector and remove it from its bracket. Next, loosen the bolts that hold the fuel rail to the intake manifold in a sequential manner. Lift the fuel rail gently to detach the injectors from the manifold. Be careful not to damage the nozzle. Carefully disconnect the electrical connectors from each injector. Then, with a wrench or socket, remove the mounting bolts securing the injectors to the fuel rail. Gently rock and twist the injectors to release them from the fuel rail. Finally, use a small screwdriver to remove the old O-rings, completing the removal process. Now, let's move on to the inspection phase. Thoroughly inspect the sensor's condition and examine the fuel injector surfaces for any cracks, dents, chip-offs, scratches, or damage to the connectors. Check all connections for potential fuel leaks. Continuing with the installation phase. Start by lubricating the new O-rings on the fuel injector, both the fuel side and nozzle side O-rings, with a small amount of clean engine oil. Insert a new clip into the clip mounting groove on the fuel injector, ensuring the projection of the fuel injector matches the clip's notch. Carefully position the new injectors onto their respective positions on the fuel rail, ensuring the clip is attached. Use a torque wrench to secure the injectors to the fuel rail. Ensure the fuel rail flange securely fits into the groove on the clip, and that the injectors are stable. Reconnect the electrical connectors to each injector. Lower the fuel rail back onto the intake manifold and reattach the retaining bolts or clips that secure the fuel rail. Reconnect the sub-harness for the injector on the engine's front side. And reattach it to the bracket using a torque wrench in 2 steps, first at 10 Nm and then at 22 Nm. Tighten the bolts securing the intake manifold onto the engine using a torque wrench. Reconnect the fuel hose quick connector to the fuel rail and secure the clamp as needed using pliers. Reinstall the front intake air duct and place the engine cover back in its position to complete the installation. After assembling the new injectors, turn the ignition on without starting the engine to apply fuel pressure to the fuel line. Alternatively, start the engine and rev it up slightly. Monitor for any leaks at connections and listen for unusual noises while checking for smooth engine performance. That wraps up the comprehensive procedure for replacing a fuel injector on a 2009 Nissan ALTIMA. Thanks for watching.